I find a well in the garden and it's very deep. So following on from where I'd spoken previously with my neighbour that I was going to reclaim the barn that he'd fenced off. There wasn't any problem with that at all. He just, when he bought the house, he'd been clearing the garden and he's came across this building and presumed it was his. Obviously it wasn't, it was mine. So he was like, yeah, no problems at all, do whatever you need to do. So according to the cadastre, which is like the plan that they give you, there's no exact measurements, but it kind of, you have a sort of a corridor of around about 1.5 meters in front of what I'm calling barn 3, because there's 3 sections of barn, and this is one that was created much later. It's actually even got a chimney breast built in, and it had a slate roof, but all that's collapsed, as you'll see. Anyway, I was making good with some of the branches and stuff to make sort of a basic fence, just to create a barrier between my neighbour's garden and my own. This is finally getting into the barn, what I call barn 3. You can see it's in a right old state. A few of the timbers have dropped. The central beam, the ridge beam, has dropped, as well as a couple of floor joists as well. So it's a wee bit dangerous in there. I need to get in and sort of clear all that out at some stage. But the principle was just to, I'd spoken to him during the week, and I said I was going to open up the fence line because I wasn't happy with where it was, and he was like, yeah, no problem at all, do whatever you need to do. So I was doing that, and whilst I was putting the fence line in, I noticed that the fence line that someone had put in was way off square. It wasn't perpendicular at all to the houses, to the divide of the houses. So, and there was a massive ivy growing on the ground, as well as you can see it's growing in the barn as well. So I started to uncover, sort of chop through the ivy, because I wanted to put a fresh line through from where I'd finished my corner post to where the divide is between the two houses. And as I've done that, so you see the post there that I've put in, and then the difference where he's put his fence line, which is way wrong. And so when I've cleared the ivy away, I've come across this. And one of the guys that lives a few doors away had said, oh, you know you've got a well in your garden? And I was like, no. He's like, yes, you have. And I have. It's here, and it's very, very deep. It's something like, it's at least 8 meters deep, I would have said. And there is running water, which means it's just some sort of underground stream that's working its way along from wherever to wherever. So it's an interesting find. People go mad for wells in France. The people that buy houses, I looked at a few that one of their biggest selling points was that it had a well in the garden, they call a puits. My neighbour was thrilled because it's kind of in line with the two houses. So we sort of said, well, we would share the facility. We would put, we obviously put a fence in all the way around it and put a door either side for either garden, so either one of us can, if we need to access water, we can access water. But that current fence line, plastic fence line that you can see, is in the wrong position, and they probably just did it there because of the well. So it's an interesting find. I suppose I could speak to the former mayor when next time he's round. He was actually round this day, but it was before I discovered the well, so I didn't have a chance to ask him anything about it. But it was actually the neighbour that was saying that his grandmother used to live in the house that I'm currently renovating, and it was he that said, "Oh, you know, there's a well in the garden." So obviously he knows his stuff. There was a well in the garden. So this was just a short video, very, very short, like half the time I normally spend doing videos, just because I thought it would be quite interesting. It's not every day you come across a well that's as deep as that, I'm sure. And it had a kind of a concrete lid, but the concrete lid was at an angle, and I was sort of standing on the concrete lid while I was clearing the ivy. And then, luckily enough, I sort of stepped off it, and I just put sort of a shovel underneath it just to try and start to lift it to see whether it was a manhole or whatever. And the lid fell down straight down into the well. And luckily, I wasn't standing on it, otherwise I would have been down in the bottom of the well as well. And I don't think you're getting out of there anytime quick. If you fall down there, it's a long, long way down. There's no ladder or anything else. And I doubt if the neighbour would have heard me. So, spooky stuff. Always be careful with these things. Somebody's kind of made a concrete surround for it and then put a concrete lid on top, but not done a very good job of it. Normally you'd have a proper lip running all the way around it so that there's no chance of that happening, of the lid falling into it. So I ended up having to create a cover just in timber, which I then put on. And obviously I had informed the neighbour by this time, and he was thrilled because he was talking about he wants to breed fish, apparently, for whatever reason. I think for selling, actually. So he's going to be setting up sort of little mini reservoirs there. I think pumping the water out. I think you need filters and stuff to do that. But anyway, he's a bit of a dreamer, shall we say? So that's his plan for it. So yeah, so I put a board on there, just written on it, "Pui danger." Just think nobody should be coming across there, and obviously he's going to put an additional fence between his boundary and that anyway. So his children are well informed now not to go anywhere near that. The timber covers in place, but anyway, I don't really want the children anywhere near it. Ideally, so yeah, he's going to put something in place just to prevent them if they were over eager to see it again. They're not going to be able to get at it. And then once I've gotten going properly, like I say, we'll put a decent fence around it with a couple of locked gates, so that you can only get access via a key and a padlock. And then this is just the final bits of the video where, again, ivy. It's everywhere. It's growing up and around. The barn number 3, and I chopped a big chunk of it out. And there was a weird section here. I don't know whether this was meant to be taking the guttering or the downpipe, but this is sort of recessed area that was just full of ivy roots as well. So just when you think you got rid of the last of the ivy, there's another chunk of it on its way. And I wanted to try and chop through it to give it half a chance of killing it off before I'll make a start on the roof, which is probably going to be after the house is finished, towards the beginnings of September, hopefully. So anyway, there you go, a bit of news for you. A well, running water, a stream, very, very deep, a big old well as well. It's a size. What do you think? Is it an asset or is it a liability? Answers on a postcard to the usual address. Anyway, that's it for this video. As ever, thank you very much for taking the time to watch it. Thanks ever so much for all your kind comments and words of wisdom. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video, which will be back indoors doing a bit more grinding down of the beams.